Hey, thanks for joining me. This is obviously going to be a very serious discussion, so no more smiling. We're going to talk about this from a cinephile perspective, uh, and compare this to French new wave and film noir and a whole bunch of things that obviously I'm not going to do because that would be stupid. But yes, I did watch Paw Patrol the movie. um, the sequel came out this year, and I haven't seen anything with this franchise. I don't have a kid, so I have no reason to, and it's not nostalgic for me because it's not a franchise that existed. I have no problem watching cartoons. I watch cartoons all the time. It's just not my era of cartoons, so I struggle with stuff that wasn't around when I was a kid, able to discover it and be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! I love this so much, Mom, buy me all the toys." Which is what I imagine kids have been doing with the show since 2013. The show's been around since 2013. It has over 250 episodes, so yes, it is somewhat ubiquitous at this point. But it also has two movies. This is the first one, and it's on Paramount Plus, and it has audio description. I'm fairly certain the whole series doesn't have audio description, so I don't really know what their aim here is. This is why when I talk about audio description for film and television, I'm like, some of this stuff, some of your choices just don't make any sense. So yeah, like, you want the kids to tune in every week and watch the 250 episodes and not be able to follow them because they don't have audio description. So blind kids are just like, Paw Patrol, but then you think they're gonna like roll in on the movie because the movie's gonna have audio description. They're gonna be like, oh my god, now I can understand what my friends have been enjoying for the last 10 years. I don't think that's really likely. You either get people at square one and you build a fan base, or not. So it has audio description. I'm not really sure who it's for. I guess kids that are really excited about a movie for a TV franchise they're not watching. I don't know. But that's why I wanted to talk about it, because it has audio description. If it didn't have audio description, I wouldn't have cared. But I have a feeling the sequel also has audio description, so it gives me two films to talk about with audio description. I don't really care what this movie's about, and you shouldn't either, because it's unlikely that you are, I don't know, between the ages of 3 and 9. So if you are, hi, how are you? How are you doing? Thanks for being on YouTube. Hopefully you've got parental controls, because there's some strange stuff on here, and I don't plan on cursing in this video, so just in case. But Paw Patrol. If you're here and you're an adult, I think you know this movie is not for you. If you're making life choices based around Paw Patrol, the only reason would be you're someone like me who's trying to do it for film critic purposes, or even more specifically for me, I finally decided to, because it does have audio description and I wanted to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about the plots of this film. I'm not going to try to talk about whether or not these characters have, or whether or not it makes, or whether or not, no, this is not. Some films, I would say, make a concerted effort to try to reel in adults, and they kind of blend that adult humor with kid humor. This is like 99% aimed at children, young children, not preteens, not a wide range of kids, where you could argue something like Across the Spider-Verse, when you see people in that film in the movie theater that have no kids, you don't get so weirded out by it, because you're like, well, it's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man came out so long ago that, maybe he read it as in a comic book as a kid, so it's not weird there's a 70-year-old man down there by himself. But Paw Patrol, you'd be concerned. You'd be like, sir, why are you in this film? Why are you here? Did you work on it? Are you the director of Paw Patrol? Like, I can't think of a good reason to see an adult in Paw Patrol who isn't legitimately trying to review this film as a film critic. It's about it. Any other reason, you either worked on the film, you're a film critic, or I'd be concerned, because there's nothing here for adults. I'm just telling you that. It doesn't make it a bad film. This film is aimed at kids, and I think kids will enjoy it. I think the little bit of research I've done about Paw Patrol is that the fact that it's been around as long as it has, and the thing that I noticed is different is they replace the voice cast quite frequently. So, for example, the voice here for Ryder, who is, I guess, the lead, has actually never even voiced Ryder before. However, the voice for Marshall is the current voice of Marshall on the series, or at least as of 2021 was the current voice of Marshall for the series. So, yeah, they have a limited lifespan being able to voice these actors, because they have the great villain of puberty that comes in and changes their voice. And that's what I thought was so interesting. I was talking to somebody else about this too after I had to admit to another adult that I was watching Paw Patrol. I said, what was interesting about this to me is that they use what are obviously kid actors in these roles, instead of having, like, when we watched, in my generation, we had Rugrats, which were toddlers, but they were all voiced by adult actors doing toddler voices. So they were able to do those voices for the whole run. We didn't have like a new Tommy Pickles every 2 years. Same thing with like Muppet Babies, right? Those are like really little kids, but those are character voices being done by adults. Here, they clearly are choosing people that are going to age out of those roles, or the roles would have to grow with them. Either they would have to stick with a child actor and let the Paw Patrol grow up, or, which, you know, I mean, we did have Rugrats all grown up, where they became, like, they were walking and talking, and they were in, like, high school or something, middle school. What were they in? What grade were they in that series? I can't even remember. I feel like maybe just like a few episodes of it. But, so, I mean, it's possible they could let the Paw Patrol grow up and mature, but I don't think that's the point of the series. And I think we kind of lose the sheen after 10 seasons to just suddenly be like, well, they're old. So, yeah, your kids clearly don't care what Ryder sounds like. He's been replaced so many times already that it's not like they're going to start the Paw Patrol movie where your kid's going to lean over and be like, that's not Ryder. You know, don't worry about it, because he's been replaced like 7 times already. So if your kid's been watching Paw Patrol for the last 10 years, then no, they're not going to notice, because, again, this is not a series where they seem to care who's voicing these characters. So I haven't been able to listen to the 250 episodes, nor will I, to figure out how big of a shift there is in all these different voice actor changes. But yeah, so some of the people are there and some of the people are not. They'd use some adult actors. There's some Joe Pardo or something like that voices the bad guy in this, and he's also listed as credited in the actual TV show cast as well for the same role. So I guess the bad guy gets to stay because he's an adult and he's a meanie. He's got very nefarious, mean plans. But your kids will like it. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it was fine. It felt like an actual movie. It felt like it wasn't something that they just kind of threw together and were like, let's cash grab it. And so many times when you have a popular franchise, it can happen that way. It can feel like that. You know, you can have, like a Barney's Great Adventure where you're like, is it a great adventure, Barney? You know, I mean, Pee-wee had a big adventure. Barney had a great adventure. You know, so I don't know who had the better adventure, but I do feel like Pee-wee's was more of a coherent film, sort of, due in large part to the fact that Tim Burton was directing it, so it felt kind of interesting that way. But yeah, our favorite child things have always been getting film adaptations for years. Even when I was a little kid, it wasn't even necessarily out of my generation, but I loved the Jetsons movie. I watched that movie so many times as a little kid. I couldn't get enough of it, and I didn't even fully grow up with the Jetsons. So many opportunities for this over the years, and we've seen the cheap cash grabs that just feel like they're there for parents to waste their money. We see things that actually feel like somebody sat down and was like, okay, so how do we make it worthwhile to go to the big screen? And this kind of feels like a valiant effort with no prior knowledge coming from me of anything that happened in the TV series. This does feel like a valiant effort to answer the question of why are we doing this? Why is this a film adaptation? Does it actually feel bigger? Are the kids going to feel like this was a film adaptation or just a longer TV episode? And I think it feels more like an actual film than it does a TV episode. Obviously, it's not very long because your kids would lose their minds, as would the parents, because again, this is not for you. So please don't complain. Just, you're going for your kids or you're turning on for your kids. This is not one of those movies where it's a shared experience. I cannot stress that enough. I don't think there are many adults out there who have crammed all 250 episodes and legitimately enjoyed that with their kids, where they're like back and forth, where during the day they're like, oh, I can't wait to see the next episode of Paw Patrol. Now that my kids are going to bed, I get to finally watch The Crown or Stranger Things. There's just no... the Venn diagram doesn't really exist on people who like those things. So, yeah, but your kids will love this. It's bright, it's colorful, it's fun. It's got a fun pop soundtrack type thing, like not even really like pop music, but just kind of like a pop sounding soundtrack. I don't know how to describe that. The faux pop, I should say. It sounds like it should be pop music, but I didn't really recognize anything that was coming out of that movie. It is what I thought it was going to be, but I mean, by myself without a kid to watch the kid enjoy, I'm not going to say I had the best experience of my life, but I wanted to talk about the audio description, so let's do that. I don't know if this is human or not, but it's very bizarre. I would say, even if you are human, if I question whether or not you are human, not a great sign for your delivery style. And I've thought about this since I watched the film and the couple of the hours that I've had to marinate on this, about the benefits, the pros and cons to doing what they did here. So they took a voice that I would not have put on a kid's film, and it is very monotone and dry. And it feels like accessibility. It doesn't feel like it's there to enhance the film at all. It also feels like something that kids wouldn't really enjoy. It doesn't feel like it's audio description for kids. It feels like it's audio description for adults. It feels like somebody thought a whole bunch of blind parents were going to bring their sighted kids to the theaters, and they wanted the blind parents to be able to understand what was going on in the theaters, so they picked somebody who was never really, or like an AI sounding voice or something that kids would not want to listen to, but yet, and has no lift. You know, parents do better jobs reading bedtime stories to their kids, you know. And the prince went into the castle, and what did he find there? But he found the princess! You know, I mean, there's just so many... This guy's just like, Ryder and his team get in the truck and drive down the road. There's a turtle in the road. The turtle is crossing the road. The truck is coming. The turtle sees the truck. The turtle goes in its shell. It's so dry. And it's like, this film is trying to be so bubbly for your kids, and this audio description is the antithesis of everything about that. It's like the difference between this film and like Shakespeare. It is like the difference between the film and this audio description. It's such a wide gap. Now the pro to that is it doesn't sound like anything else in the movie. So you can clearly hear what audio description is. You cannot mistake it for being any voice that might be in the movie. There are some really lovely people who have done some fantastic narration for other children's films that do it, and they do it in a way where you get the audio description, but you get it in a way that is obviously meant to sort of continue to keep children engaged, you know, in a very friendly, in a very fun way. And I like that. And I have no problem listening to that style of audio description in a film that is meant for, you know, an audience younger than me, considerably younger than me. But here, we went the other opposite direction with it. And the last time that happened that I can think of where I reviewed a film that was like that, where I just totally thought it was out of place, was Disney's Treasure Planet has a narrator I love doing the audio description who is not really right for doing films for kids. So here, not only is it dry, but I also think it's not human, which makes it kind of even worse. It feels very AI to me. And it's very unusual because generally theatrical releases, they actually go out and hire someone. This went to theaters. So Paramount cared so little about the accessibility for this film that they put AI on it. That doesn't feel right. We don't typically we get AI audio description a lot of times on catalog releases or on straight to streaming titles. But Paw Patrol the movie went to theaters. Yes, it was during the pandemic, but it was also considered to be a theatrical release. So I don't know what happened here, but the audio description is not my favorite thing in the world. If you are here and you're sighted and you have sighted kids, obviously it's not a problem for you. If you're here because you're a blind adult and you have sighted kids, you'll be using the audio description and your sighted kids won't, presumably. So you will be annoyed by the AI quality in this voice. Not going to help. It's not going to help a film you're probably already like, I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this for my kids. I'm doing this for my kids. We're experiencing this together. We're building long-lasting family memories. Because that's true. I definitely, absolutely have certain films that I remember watching as a kid with my parents that, yes, not all of them. Not all the ones that I'm sure that they would love to. Not even the ones that I'm sure that they remember that I would remember. I you know, but there are some. So yes, you can create a memory by watching a movie together as a family. If you are blind with blind kids, I don't know. I don't know how it. I don't know if this is for you. The audio description doesn't necessarily scream welcoming, and like I said, if the series doesn't have audio description, your kids, how are your kids fans at this point? Are they just trying to jump? Are you jumping straight into the film? I don't know. I don't know if this film is for you. I've got nothing on that. So, and if you are a sighted parent with blind kids, your kids are gonna be bored to death by the audio description, and I don't know if you use it or not, or you know, turn it on with your kids. Maybe turn it on in the living room and you just watch it as a family, and your blind or visually impaired kid, you know, you just prioritize the audio description, which would be great. Bravo. But you guys are going to notice this audio description is not what it should be, which is unfortunate. So anyway, this is my long review, done by somebody that you didn't think was going to be talking about Paw Patrol within their lifetime. I didn't think I was going to be talking about Paw Patrol. But obviously following this is going to be a conversation on Paw Patrol, the Mighty movie. I think that's what it's called. So, yeah, I'm not grading this because I'm not a kid. And I think this is ridiculous. There's so many films over the years that have been, like, questionably, like, which audience is this for? And you can make an argument for the fact that this is for the whole family. This is for kids who are old enough to be able to discern, who could be watching other things, who, need better, we could be showing them better films. This is really meant for kids. I don't want to say it's a preschool show because they did use some big words in there where I didn't feel like this was quite at Dora the Explorer's level, but I thought it was like the next level up. Like, you graduate out of like Dora and Blue's Clues and some of those shows where it's like the audience participation shows where it's for the little kids, where the kids are like, hey, we're going to try to do this. Do you want to try to do it too? Great. like they're waiting for the kids' response. It's not one of those shows, but it very much does feel like the next level up out of that. So I think the oldest kids who are going to enjoy this are the ones that started watching this in 2013 and have that attachment to it. So I don't know, maybe as high as like 13. You might get a 13-year-old who's interested in a Paw Patrol movie at this point, but really that's a stretch, because 13-year-olds start getting like worried about seeming like, are we cool? And they're probably playing Grand Theft Auto. So I don't know. I think the cap off age for this film is 9. I think when you hit a double digit, you're out. So, but nostalgia factor for some people. So sometimes they grew up with it and they just keep liking it. So I'm not gonna say that that's impossible. Adults, strap in, and I don't know, get a lot of popcorn, pregame, whatever you got to do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Yes, I'm really not grading this film. I don't think critics should grade films like this. This is the kind of thing that if I had seen like Siskel and Ebert grade back in the day, I'd be like, why are you grading this? Did you watch it with kids? Were you in an auditorium full of kids? Because if all of the kids are liking it and you've got 2 old dudes sitting in the back being like, this is dumb. It's like, it's not meant for you. I don't know what else to tell you. So, yeah, I'm not doing that. I think a lot of critics should do that. We can talk about it. We can try to give you an idea of what to expect, but I don't know how to compare this to anything else. So I'm sure as a kid I would have loved it. So this probably, if I was a kid right now, I would have loved this film, and I would look at a critic and be like, who are you? Leave my Paw Patrol alone. You're mean. So I'm not doing that. Watch Paw Patrol if your kids are fans of Paw Patrol. Anyway. So please click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the other side for the Mighty movie.